Ubisoft's initial reveal of Watch Dogs back in E3 2012 was one of the best E3 showings to date, adding it to just about everyone's radar. Between the unique hacking gameplay twist in the open city sandbox game genre and the truly next-gen detailed graphics, it appeared that gaming was truly ready for the next step of evolution. Now that Watch Dogs has finally launched after some lengthy delays, has it lived up to the hype? The answer to that is essentially a mix of yes and no, as the game still seems to feature a lot of the gameplay aspects originally shown. However, the graphic fidelity in comparison has some noticeable downgrades, leaving it simply a decent-looking current-gen title rather than something that truly jumps to the next level graphically. Let's take a look at each aspect of this highly anticipated new IP and see what exactly it did right and wrong, and if it should be worthy of a sequel. The setting in Watch Dogs sees players in a fictionalized version of real-life Chicago where a supercomputer known as CTOS controls just about everything in the city and is completely connected through it. We are introduced to the main character Aiden Pierce, who is a vigilante on a quest for revenge against those responsible for the murder of his niece during a failed robbery attempt. Aiden's unique ability to hack into CTOS and control everything around him will assist him in getting this revenge, and the game does a great job utilizing it in various ways as you progress through the story. While I really enjoyed the overall information warfare and hacking themes going on in the story, I never really became that attached to any of the characters or story in general in the game. I hate to draw comparisons to Grand Theft Auto V, but the writing and character design in that impressed me far more and had some truly memorable characters and lines. That is to say that it is a bad story, however, as I still felt interested enough to keep progressing, and players may appreciate some of the twists throughout it here and there. One minor nitpick issue I had with protagonist Aiden Pierce was his overall appearance. While I understood their approach to give him a defining look so people would be able to recognize him as the Watch Dogs protagonist if shown a picture, I just felt the overall look didn't make much sense story-wise within the game. If he is this notorious vigilante hacker, you would think he would want to blend in with the rest of the public, rather than wearing his extremely suspicious getup that makes him stand out. There's nothing wrong with this as an initial appearance and to make for some snazzy and memorable box art, but there should have been some purchasable clothing options in-game for those who want to customize themselves and blend in. While there are purchasable clothing options in-game, it seems you're stuck purchasing from the Aiden Pierce brand clothing line as everything looks suspicious and similar, featuring different patterns and colors. Even if I wasn't thrilled with the story of the game, the gameplay kept me hooked most of the time from beginning to end and beyond with the game's numerous gameplay offerings. The gameplay of Watch Dogs takes the standard Grand Theft Auto style city sandbox gameplay and adds new twists thanks to the unique setting and the ability to hack into CTOS. While some may be disappointed with the simplicity of the hacking features in-game, I appreciated and enjoyed its simple presentation. Hacking is simple as holding a single button for pretty much controlling and activating anything that is enabled to do so. It will likely wow you the first time you try it out and see it in action. At first you'll find it funny watching car accidents ensue as you hack some traffic lights at an intersection to all go green, but then you find out how much more awesome it is when you make use of it during intense chases to send cars flying into whoever was on your tail. You start off having limited hacking abilities, but as you level and earn skill points, you can put these points into one of a few categories which include hacking, as well as a few others including driving, combat, and crafting. Soon enough you'll be hacking bridges to lift them up to make awesome jumping escapes, and hacking transformers to create blackouts which sound and look pretty amazing as they are happening. Those looking for a bit more complexity with the hacking may appreciate some of the missions and other side content where you'll be sneakily hacking into cameras and jumping from camera to camera as you map the place out and look for specific objects and hacking opportunities. One of these locations you'll be doing this at are CTOS towers, which allow players to unlock CTOS access in more areas around Chicago by hacking into a server room. During these you'll be able to play a simple hacking minigame which will probably look familiar to other games, as they've presented hacking in a very similar manner. This wire connecting minigame is probably used a bit excessively too, making me wish they came up with a more unique variety of hacking minigames. Of course, if you don't want to go that sneaky hacker route, you can always mix in some Solid Snake stealth-style approach by sneaking around and taking out guards silently as you make your way in. Going in guns blazing is always an option too, but be prepared to deal with the extra reinforcements. Those that prefer that route will appreciate the decent arsenal of weapons and items available to you as you progress through the game. Guns will be earned from various accomplishments as well as off random enemies. Other useful items can be crafted if you choose to spend skill points in crafting, and include items like grenades, lures that stick on walls to attract enemies, and an item that can cause blackouts. You'll find a lot of variety in the content as a whole in the game, including a unique gameplay aspect that mixes the mentioned stealth gameplay with driving as you attempt to completely avoid cops as they are sweeping the streets looking for you. A feature to accompany this unique style of gameplay is the ability to hide in your car. With a single button press, when parked, you will turn the lights off and duck down in the vehicle, which will hopefully keep the cops looking a bit longer and miss you. Those that still prefer the intense police chases from games like Grand Theft Auto will appreciate missions that involve that style of gameplay are still present, but sometimes would be required to keep it stealthy and completely avoid attention. While as a whole the game offers a lot of gameplay variety, I felt the main story could have possibly used a bit more, as there are only a handful of standout memorable missions in the lengthy campaign. There is quite a bit to do in the city, and what is great about it is the fact that the game makes efforts to keep content opportunities flowing your way in the living city around you. There is almost always a healthy amount of random citizens walking about, and by tapping a button you can bring up your profiler, which tells you exactly who a person is, and it may even give you hacking opportunities, allowing you to steal money from their bank account, steal files, and even listen in on a conversation that can lead to a mysterious package or even other criminal activity to go stop. While many of these will just be a small random task, some are larger side missions that include gang hideouts, fixer contracts, and criminal convoys. While each of these offer extra content for players to conquer, they mostly offer more of the same types of content you've already seen in the main story missions. The little pop-ups that let you know of these events also allow you to easily set a waypoint which show up in the road, making it very easy to find your way to the target. This way of delivering content opportunities was great design direction by Ubisoft, because not only do they allow players to find and reach the content themselves, they are also presented with content opportunities as they play. These opportunities are of course completely optional too, and you won't be punished if you decide to avoid them. There is even some surprising extra content beyond these opportunities that seem to take a page from Saints Row's less serious approach to this style of game. This content involves a variety of mini-games, including a virtual reality phone game where you'll be blasting alien invaders with your laser gun, which is actually your phone, and the digital trips, which take you to a digital drug-induced trip to one of a few different games that provide a variety of gameplay styles. Those looking for mass destruction will want to try out Spider Tank, where you control a massive spider tank and wreak havoc in Chicago, or Madness, where you drive around in a demon-slaying car and take down a demonic horde. Also available is the Stealth Base Alone, where you'll be attempting to liberate the streets of Chicago from its new robot overlords, and Psychedelic, where you'll be bouncing from giant hallucinatory flower to hallucinatory flower around the city to reach an eventual goal. All of these game types are honestly like a small game in their own, and each of them will feature their own skill trees and leveling system, besides Psychedelic, which was the most simple offering. Outside of these more in-depth side offerings, there are also a small handful of smaller mini-games, including a drinking game that will have you drunkenly trying to press buttons on your controller. An important aspect of any game of this genre for me is always the driving, and unfortunately I was left somewhat disappointed with the handling of cars. To me they just felt a bit weighty, and coming from Grand Theft Auto V, which had what I would consider near-perfect driving controls, it was a bit of a letdown. They are still far from broken by any means, and most players will still be pleased enough with them to drive around the city at high speeds, especially on the motorcycles, which the handling actually felt quite good on. Being able to hack various objects while driving for your benefit mostly made up for any shortcomings in this aspect of the game. On foot controls I was mostly pleased with, as I like how simple it was to hack, move around, climb up objects, and use various weapons and items. One aspect of the game that let me down is that it isn't possible to jump, because most games in this genre, they usually do feature some type of jumping button. It's a frustrating feeling when you feel like you should be able to jump with the press of a button and get no response from it. When it comes to PC controls, I have to say I felt this game still feels designed for a controller, so you may want to make sure you have one available to use on your PC if you purchase that version. However, when it comes to gunplay and shooting, mouse and keyboard may have the upper hand. Perhaps one of the most surprising and potentially fun aspects of Watch Dogs is actually seen in its multiplayer, which offers a variety of modes depending on the playstyle you are looking for. The mode that really stands out and thematically fits with the game are the hacking, invasions, and tailing modes, which are both 1v1 multiplayer options where players can invade actual other players' games and either attempt to hack and steal from them or escape unharmed, just getting close to profile them without them knowing of their presence. What makes this so awesome is that you'll appear to the other player as a random civilian model rather than Aiden, so you'll blend in as long as you are acting natural. By using their phone, the player can quickly attempt to use their profiler and find the culprit, and if spotted, it's up to you to get away before getting killed. Unfortunately, the multiplayer has had several connection issues, and many, with myself included, have had some issues getting it to work. In the times I was able to try it out, I really did think it was quite fun, however, and it offered a unique flavor of Dark Souls meets Grand Theft Auto gameplay. Whether you were the invader or the victim, you were offered a unique flavor of fun, with the invading being a satisfying experience when you pull it off undetected, and a terrifyingly fun time as you panic trying to hunt down the hacker when the victim. The only multiplayer mode I was able to access without any issue was a private free roam with some friends, and it ended up being one of my favorite parts of the game, despite not having any structure whatsoever. Unlike Grand Theft Auto V's GTA Online, there are no activities available to players, and it's up to them to create their own fun, which usually results in intense and crazy police chases. While screwing over police and other AI-controlled enemies by hacking was fun, it's even more fun and hilarious when you pull it off with your friends. Perhaps one of the most unique multiplayer modes involves use of a real-life free phone CTOS app. With this app, players can connect to other actual Watchdog players and play a special mode where the mobile player will be presented with the map of Chicago and take control of police in other parts of the city to attempt to take down the player. I was able to try this out with a friend, and it was very easy to figure out, and it was actually pretty fun on my end as the mobile player, even though I couldn't see much of the action. It is honestly one of the most unique and truly next-gen innovative approaches to multiplayer and mobile integration I've seen yet. I look forward to seeing further innovations in this area from Ubisoft and their upcoming 2015 title, The Division. One of the standout aspects of Watch Dogs when it was first revealed was its impressive graphics that truly looked next-gen, being a major notch above anything else we've seen before. Between the lighting, weather, and wind that was blowing debris about the city streets, it blew pretty much everyone away. Now at launch, we were delivered a product which looks noticeably downgraded, but at the same time still looks quite good. It particularly shines at night when it's raining, and you'll still see impressive looking rain and water effects and some of the blowing debris, even if it's not as impressive as we once saw it. With it being the Windy City after all, I was glad they decided to capture the breeziness of the city that can be seen in the mentioned debris. Leaves blowing in trees, and Aiden's jacket moving around with some great looking cloth physics. There's always a lot going on in the game too, which I love seeing. Civilians walking around and acting in varying ways, a decent amount of traffic at times, and random weather effects all gave a great living city vibe. Those who pay close attention to detail will even notice each district has their own unique collection of background characters and even smaller details like specific types of graffiti. I was playing the PC version of the game, which should be capable of the best visuals across all platforms. Unfortunately, there are some optimization issues here, however, leading to poor frame rate when playing on higher settings, even on a high-end rig. Ubisoft has stated they are working on a patch, and over time we can probably expect to see some performance increases through this and driver updates. I found the voice acting in the game to be quite good even if I wasn't into the characters themselves. I really enjoyed the original soundtrack as well, which features some neat ambient electronic numbers at times which are very fitting for the theme of the game and the scenes they are occurring in. There is also plenty of licensed music, but I wasn't personally impressed with the track selection as a whole. I did like their approach with the aspect, however, as you can actually collect songs by hacking into other civilians' phones for your own music player. There is even an in-game app called Song Sneak that allows you to discover songs when you hear them in-game at various locations. Even if Watch Dogs hasn't lived up to the hype it generated back in 2012, it still has proven to me that it is a quality Ubisoft title that does have sequel potential if they make enough adjustments and enhancements to the game. The story and characters just didn't grab my attention enough, as it was all rather cliché, and while there is a lot of great and new gameplay through the missions, there honestly could have been a bit more variety. Some may complain the hacking was too simple and not utilized enough, but I found myself constantly and easily making use of it throughout the game during on-foot gunfights, on the road during chases, and even in slower-paced puzzle-solving and platforming segments. Now that the idea is present, I feel it has so much potential to be further fleshed out in a sequel, and I look forward to seeing what the designers come up with when that sequel arrives. Even if I didn't completely dig everything the main campaign had to offer, there was also plenty of extra content offerings and surprises seen in an exceptional amount of side content that includes various missions that offer extra gameplay in similar style to some story missions, some collectathons, a mix of in-depth and smaller mini-games, and a wealth of fun and innovative multiplayer options. All of these things were the icing on a decent cake that left me wanting more from the chef to see what else they could come up with. The Game Cavern gives Watch Dogs a 4 out of 5.